Five generations now share the same workplace from boomers to Gen Zs. Add AI and automation, collaboration becomes an algorithm of empathy, learning, and leadership. In today's talk, Dr. Jyoti Dongre Rao decodes how technology, psychology, and purpose covers create human centric performance cultures. AI may automate tasks, but EQ unites teams. We are honored to have Dr. Jyoti Dongre Rao, Vice President, founder of ANHS, co-founded CEO, JV EdTech, Board Trustee, joining us today. Let's welcome our esteemed speaker to the podcast event and dive into the topic. Hi, Jyoti ma'am. Welcome to our podcast. How are you
Hey,
today?
hi Prem. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good, madam. A small intro to the audience about your journey, and then we'll take up with the pointers that we want to discuss today, madam.
Amazing, amazing. First of all, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Prem, who has invited me, and it's really amazing to be here. Thank you once again from the bottom of my heart. And let me talk about something different. Okay, the journey which started with 16 years of experience in healthcare, from emergency specialist to the critical care expert working India and abroad with the medical product and the medical device industry. Here I am, Dr. Jyoti Dongre Rao, a research scholar from Geneva and holding a position of as a CEO at JV Tech Innovations and the VP and founder at Avina Nasian Health Solutions, and even the board of trustee and director for the SAS Foundation. Thank you so much for having me here. There are much more things to interact and talk about it. Thank you, Prem.
Thank you, ma'am. We're starting the topic because medical field that I would admire because my daughter is in the second year of medicine and it's a profession I see people save lives. That's where I see medical is a highly regarded profession for me. And with that, how has AI shaped the definition across experiencing generations? Because that's the topic that we are talking about.
Yes. Okay. So thank you so much. I think it is a much more need of an hour when you say that yes, it's a need when you say generation. As it's really, I'm happy to hear that your daughter is doing MBBS and of course a great, cause she's serving for. But when you talk about the generational changes and the AI, believe me, I believe it's about the experience frame. Okay, probably in earlier time you might have seen that we are learning something, any kind of a skills, okay, which might be learnable, which might be used in particular domain. But now if you see, there are at times where we required the skill cannot be working with the chronological age. So what I meant to say that if somebody at the Gen Z they are having a skills, and we being a millennial we had a chance of learning it, it goes hand in hand. And I strongly believe the skill cannot be goes as per the change, but it actually can impact as per the interest of learning and advancing yourself with the newer technology and the newer trends. That's how the generation can play, and they can collaborate with each other for learning. That's what something I can really add value for this particular questions too.
Now, coming to our next point, do digital narratives and digital adopters lean at the same speed, madam?
Okay, so what I strongly believe when you talk about the digital narratives, okay, so digital narratives can go as per the requirement and as per the mindset. Okay, so if you really look at the what kind of a mindset you are coming up with, okay, so I'll give you one example. 68, according to the Deloitte's, okay, 2025, which is a multi-generational workforce report, which says 68 percentage of the CEO now prioritize digital confidence over the tenure.
Hmm.
Okay, so and 54% percentage of the Gen Z says that they learn new tools within days, not month. Okay,
Months.
so if you really understand this particular narratives, so digital narratives, Gen Z, what they go and what they see, it's something called exploration, while old generation learn by structure, but
Hmm.
speed gap is not the large as we assume. As I told you, the very one first question which you asked me. So in fact, what I noticed that McKinsey data, which shows that Gen X is the fastest growing group which is adopting AI tool at work, and mainly because of the combined judgment and the urgency. Let me give one example. Most of the hospital may have started with an AI in healthcare sector, but
Hmm.
however, can you just think that does CEO also feels the urgency of learning CEO, learning the digital?
Yeah.
He may. Absolutely, he may, because he knows that if I really wanted to, get into the shoes or get into the real lead, I believe that if you look at the real leader, they will never avoid the biases. They believe in the capabilities, and definitely the better lens of skill is skill age versus chronological age. It's nothing but if somebody has a 25 years of skill, 25, if somebody is 25-year old, and if you are a 55-year old, I think learning can happen. So I
Yeah.
think it's all about the mindset. I must say that. And obviously, fear is not about the machine. It's about definitely learning something different. Yeah.
I think what you are saying is very clear, because what biases must leaders watch when balancing youth and wisdom? That's one pointer that I want to understand, because what you are seeing is age is not a factor where you can
Yes.
learn. So that's what you're saying. Your
Yes.
views on this, man.
Okay. So when you talk about the biases, okay. So how does we define the biases? Okay.
Hmm.
Biases can be defined as per the role and the responsibility somebody comes across. Okay. Now somebody from probably a person who's at the junior level, okay, so he might have the definitely understanding about the speed, about the learning, about something called there is a new rule. If any organization or any association has the rule that within 3 months of time they could perform particular course or particular training that has to happen, but now if you look at it here, what it says, it's something which can really talk about speed, intelligence, adaptability, wisdom that comes with the performance. Okay, so I must add here your speed, your seniority, and your merit bias whenever you talk about it. So assuming if a younger worker is working better at the tech, it's not always necessary that he might come up with the greater wisdom. Okay,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
definitely I must say that there is a need of recognitions and understanding that yes, we need a mutual collaborations, we need the understanding of the stronger contextual judgment. Okay, because at the end of the day, higher the depth of the domain mastery, which can really help the Gen Z as well as the millennial to work together. So I must say that the speed biases, which I already explained, then seniority biases, when you say that assume older might work, they might resist, they might not listen, they might say what we are doing. But I do not deny, I do not say that. There are seniors who are literally coming up because they
Hmm.
have that idea. Oh my God, I want to learn. I wanted to understand what it should be. So I believe that we should not, resist the judgment, not the technology, but we should even think about how we can bring the change in the system. That's what I say. And of course, when you talk about even the merit basis also, for example, somebody might be acquiring the better skills and the better growth. I think even senior also should acknowledge that Gen Z has the autonomy, they have the learning capabilities on a faster rate. So why
Hmm.
not acquainted those skills and work accordingly? That's what I strongly says. Thank you.
No, madam, what you are saying is at the same age, when we are talking about multi-generational pointers
Yes,
here, right?
yes, yes,
Now, today, uh, I'll go back again where we speak is if you really look at when we had the banking system, our parents were used to go and take a teller and take salaries or draw money. They had to go to the bank and they did not have an option. They
yes,
started using ATM cards and stuff. Now they are comfortable. Okay,
yes.
now then they came into a stage where everything happens on the mobile, where you have your Google Pay or anything, and now the generations new and old use the same technology, right? They are paying through phone. They talk on. They are learning, as you rightly said. There is no age for learning, and everybody is having some kind of uh, uh, passion towards learning on YouTube. At least the older generation looks at YouTube for many things to understand. They are getting information to learn so many things, and I think that's where the generations, I think one playground which is going to become a common thing is AI is what I think, which is going to, what beliefs cause automation fear in senior talent? Because currently the roles that we are doing at the senior levels are being taken over or easily made by AI is what every senior feels. So your take on it.
Okay, so when you talk about the belief, okay, so anybody whoever sees, maybe of course a senior, okay, when they
Hmm.
see that we need to learn something, but we need to understand that what is the first fear of redundancy.
Hmm.
Okay, but because automation is interpreted as a replacement, not reinforcement. I must reiterate on that. Okay, if
Hmm.
they have this identity loss, if they have the self comparison, if they have a stigma for asking for help, definitely it will cause a trouble. Okay, so I must say that most of the professionals with 20 to 30 years of experience, what they think that I might lose something signature skill what I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and the self comparison, they might see, oh my god, the younger one are learning so faster and we do not know anything what we are doing. It might trigger some kind of a stigma around them, but that's also not right, isn't it? Okay, and when you talk about the stigma asking for help, now it is but obvious that if a senior who is seeking a help from a junior on the terms of the automations or the understanding of a machines or the learning on the AI, sometimes they may not take it positively. But I believe that the older worker hesitate to reveal digital gaps. I
Hmm.
believe the we should not assume. I believe that why don't we talk? Why don't you have that collaborations? Okay, why don't we have something called mentor and the mentee program? For example, I'll just give you an amazing experience. When I was working for 3M as a regional clinical head for South India, believe me, at times we were launching a couple of new product in India. Okay, not necessarily that what we have launched in India and what we are learning that is the same thing would have applicable in the US, isn't it? So it's very
Yeah.
important that we cross exchange, we learn the knowledge, and obviously there's something is very very important, that wisdom plus AI is equal to excellence has to be new leadership formula. Okay, and avoid we need to learn that how can we have a peer group and the peer circling learning capabilities or learning experiences, because that itself can help you to get rid of fear of redundancy, identity loss, self comparison, and obviously stigma for asking help. So I must say that any automation which fails where empathy end. So that's where I'm coming. Requirement of the particular skills or the particular learning which can help us to build up the empathy that can definitely build the better ideas about the AI learning too. Thank you.
Madam, coming to the next point, how do we reskill without triggering insecurity, madam?
Okay, so this is something very very important questions you asked me. uh, there are two aspects of it, Prem. When you say fear and the trigger.
Hmm.
Okay, so anybody who has a knowledge or anybody who's a learning, okay, we need to make it one thing very clear, that it's a equal portion, or it's an equal for everyone, those who's not aware about the AI or any learning capabilities. Okay, so age doesn't matter. Every time new skills are coming, new avenues are generating, it's very important that we need to learn. However, having the open discussion, number one. Number two, having this survey done in the in your colleagues, or in your in your particularly any group project is happening. So when you do the survey, when you do the open meet, and when you actually talk about each other, that yes, for example, the X person may not know about the particular skills, but the Y person knows about the particular skill. Can we merge those group with discussing, and not only that, but sharing that project with each other? I believe that is something can really really work out. So honest communication, that definitely matters a lot. And there is something called that, how well you communicate in a such a way where no one feel inferior. That is something is very very important. Okay, when somebody doesn't feel inferior, believe me, they learn more faster. That's a one point I must add.
Now, how do we reskill without triggering insecurity, madam?
Okay, so when you talk about the reskilling, there's something called diversity of the thoughts. Okay, for example, a different leader has a different identity or a different understanding or different learning. Okay, so it's very important that when each generation sees a different blind spot. Okay, for example, if we get away from the surfacing the hidden biases, and running something scenario simulation based, or if we talk about the something, they have a innovation which comes decade, which is imagined, and something not only even, but measuring the human ROI. Okay, so measure the trust like measure the time. I must say that intergenerational collaboration is a measurable when we quantify the behavior, not the intention. So definitely collaborative productive index, mentorship reciprocity score, psychological safety rating, cross age success project, and when we trust the metric, these are the area where culture can help us to build up the strategy.
Very true, madam. And these are pointers which help. Culture is one
Yeah.
big change that we should look at while
Yes.
we talk on bringing multi-generation teams together. So I
Yes.
think now coming to our next point, how can AI-driven learning equalize opportunities across age groups? Because now after AI coming, anybody can learn, as you rightly said.
Mm.
You can learn, and the technology that we have is we have everything on the YouTube University, right? So
Yeah.
everywhere you are available, every data is available. Now, coming to learning is one part. How can learning give that kind of opportunities for both senior and uh, diverse age groups?
Amazing, amazing. As we ended the question last with the cultural collaborations or
Yeah.
cultural calibration. Okay, now this question I might answer in two different segments. The first, when it comes to the learning velocity. Okay, what is the meaning of it? That it is not that hours what we spend, but the speed of a skill acquisitions. Okay,
Mm.
now even there is something called self-reported competence and the pre-post learning. Okay, so if everyone get a chance to understand that what kind of a self confidence score I am developing. Okay, number one, to evaluate themselves. Number three, cross generational mentorship frequency, which help us to develop the mutual learning. Okay, and when you say the task which has been assigned and how does it automate, how does it give us a score, that can really help us. So definitely it helps to learn the velocity, not the learning hours. Now I'm sure you know that curiosity doesn't have any age. It can start with
Yeah,
anywhere. But
yeah,
can we actually help that what is unspoken divine digital generation rules? For example, if Gen Z, they expect instant replies, okay, or when they expect something that work has to happen this way, they need a more autonomy, they need a more freedom. It is okay. It is
yeah.
okay. But Are we, as a millennial, are we work with that structure? For example,
Hmm.
as it was spoke about the WhatsApp University, are we really keeping our communication limited to the WhatsApp, or are we actually helping them to build up the email communications or structured communications, or we think through it and we then go ahead? So it's
Hmm.
very very important that the communication line has to be set up with each and every organization, so that it can really leverage not only the opportunity, but even it can divide any kind of a segmentation which is happening in the company role, I must say that. Yes. And another part, I must add on, when you talk
Okay.
about the NLP. Yes, when I say about the NLP, that's natural language processing. So it's very important that what are the language has been used in a particular way to understand the behavioral pattern. Okay, because the understanding and the judgment capacity would be differ from each age group, each experience segment. So
Hmm.
it's very very important that whenever we work on the any project line or any of the basis, we have to have something which can really have a segmentation. Now there is one more thing I want to add up here. There is one study which I've really taken it out, because that study says that uh, 39% of the employees over 50 worry AI will reduce their influence, while
Hmm.
only 12% of the Gen Z feel the same. So, automation fear is emotional, not technical. So, it's very important that how do you reskill ourselves so we can really think through it, and psychological safety also doubles it very important, right? So, in this particular forum, we talk about the empathy, we talk about the, understanding the cultural aspects. Of course, that does matter. Thank you.
What metrics prove inclusive learning works? Any
Okay.
metrics that you can put across, madam?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There are a couple of metrics are really important when we go through the number of areas, a number of expertise are made. For example, any employee who trusts AI when they know why the decision was made, where the idea came from, and when human will step in, or
Hmm.
what kind of a human override the protocol which is essential. For example, let us have a storytelling across the ages. Okay, that something is very very important, right? And that is the one of the skill where which will help us to build up the system. For example, a 25-year-old coder and 55-year-old manager may struggle to align the method, right? But they always align the meaning, right? So this is
Yeah.
what something we have to keep in alignation mode, that how the storytelling can help. Because I strongly believe, I come from a core healthcare background where I've trained more than 1 lakh healthcare professionals. And believe me, we always say you should always start from known to unknown.
Known to.
Okay? Yes, yes. That's how it will help us. So when I say about the storytelling, one of the Harvard research which says that story-based communication can increase the team coherence by 70% compared to the data only instruction. So of course, transfer the wisdom from the older generation, transfer the innovation from younger ones. It create the shared purpose and it build the emotional synchrony. And when the people tell story, not the task, it became the natural. Teamwork become the natural. So that's what I can add up here. Thank you.
Those pointers are very important because what you said was, if a AI engineer and a manager can align, I think
Yes.
that's the biggest thing that you can look at, because the guy who thinks AI can solve, and with the thought process that you get kind of an input, and that input gets validated by the manager. I think that's where the coherence of having a coexistence of different age people can help is what I see. Now, L&D case from skill building is one thing that brings this collaboration to happen. I think we also should look at measuring learning velocity, not number of hours, because what is that they learn in that period is what we should look. And curiosity has no retirement age, as you rightly said. That's always there. Now, what are some of the unspoken divide digital generations that happens here in these two teams? Or
Spoken digital divide and the generations, right? So let me come up with the important question called trust in tech,
Hmm.
right? That is something is very, very important, because when we train the team which actually mirrors the communication style, okay, that is something is very, very important, right? Because when we actually help our team to build up, we not only translate the value, but we it's just not the vocabulary, but we absolutely translate the value and the communication culture and the system and the empathy, right? So when you talk about how the leader build the trust with the AI system and the human intuition, that is an important point I must add on here, because build AI literacy, ensure algorithm transparency. That is something very, very important, Prem. If they do not have a
Hmm.
algorithm transparency, believe me, they will not even code anything. Okay. And and
Right.
only deploy AI with explainable output. Okay. Clarify AI with the decision support partner, not a commander. Team
Hmm.
AI as a junior analyst, not a senior authority. So it's very important how we literally work, because every system has changed, every people have changed. And when we say human override the machine, what exactly happened? When the decision affect ethics, well-being, of course, it comes to the legal risk. I'm sure
Yeah.
you know many examples. We have heard many things which I don't. You are knowing better. Okay, couple of the datas we have come across, and the people literally they have sued the associations, and it's rolling into the legal battle altogether. Right now, so
Yeah.
when the AI recommendation contradict context, when the bias is incomplete idea and the uncertainty is detected, that's how the human override the protocol.
Now you are talking about algorithms when the team itself does not know,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So what they are writing in most of the cases,
Yes.
I would refrain to say that, but the pointer that I want to add is most of the time we think of doing something and we find something new,
Yes.
and that's where the whole structure of algorithms come to play. And our thought process and AI is one thing where you give more questions, it will try to probe and make it better,
Yes.
right? The way you ask questions, it is all about how you prompt. And can in that context, can language and communication styles be recoded like algorithms?
Yeah, absolutely. When you talk about language and the communication or the prompt engineering, that's a need of an hour frame. I agree with it, completely agree with it. And it is required. For example, when you give a suggestion, when you automate certain things, do we really give the better solution? Number one. Number two,
Hmm.
are we not hallucinating this particular system? Number three, we have to think through it that when we give any prompt, is that prompt is relevant enough to give the better answers? Okay, that also can breach the gap, because I have noticed that. Okay, so I come from a researcher background, okay, where many students who wanted to uh, complete their research, they wanted to search through it, but believe me, this they take one topic. For example, my research was into the role of digitalization in healthcare pre and post covid, a situation analysis, an Indian scenario. Okay, the first study
Okay.
in India. But
Hmm.
just imagine, this particular research I have developed three questions, and this is a vast research, and I did it during the covid time, which is a need of an hour. So I checked the
Hmm.
competency, I checked the opportunities, challenges, and even I spoke about the healthcare and equity. Okay. Now, what I'm trying
Okay.
to say that if this particular research or particular project, if I would have not considered the criteria driven, for example, inclusion criteria or the exclusion criteria, believe me, I would have not reached. So, for
Hmm.
example, the day you feel when you prompt any questions on the AI, it gives you more improvised version. But you need to know what is the need. It will explain to the endless. Number one. Number
Hmm.
two, are we literally checking out the literature review and reviewing whether this information is really correct or not? Agree? Now,
Right.
coming to it, I will add one more question. Okay. It happened to be like one of the company would like to take my consultancy, and they wanted to start a healthcare AI in healthcare business. They were having an amazing system with the diagnostic evaluations and all that. So they gave me, I said, they said, madam, why don't you try the prototype? So when I tried the prototype, I have just mentioned one one word called CVA. So System could not identify what is CVA. It gave me all left, right,
Certain.
center. Okay, but the meaning of CVA is a cerebrovascular accident. One example
Okay.
in healthcare. So believe me,
Uh,
that is also need of an hour where we need to understand that what we should know. We should not completely rely on the AI or on the system or the prompt engineering. Please think through it, please read through it, get the idea, get the literature, and go back. Yeah, that's what I can say.
no, I think what you are saying is, see, I will take this pointer because when you said CVA,
Yeah.
right? Now, AI is a system, people should understand that it is to be trained before you ask a question. I think the model has to be trained to a stage where it gives you answers.
Yes.
Now there are so many LLMs which have come, language, large language modules,
Yes.
which are talking about specific topics. Now, when you talk to chat gpt, I think you will get the larger context. When you build your own AI LLM, you need to train with the right data for it to answer. Now, what you said, CVA, these are abbreviations that are to be fed to the system so that it answers,
Yes.
and that data has to be one pointer that you will have to look at building that LLM to bring you the outputs when you ask certain medical terms,
Yes.
and that has to be referenced. That's what I will take in that this one, because we use either NLP or a culture framework for building that kind of a product, because you will have to translate values, not just the vocabulary, right? Where we say
Absolutely.
right, that has to come out. Now, how can leaders build trust between AI systems and human intuition?
Yes.
Because of intuition we have AI
Yes.
today,
Yes.
where we wanted to bring something. Now,
Yes. Yes.
how do we bring this together
Okay.
or build trust together?
Yeah. So this is something very, very important question. Okay. Trust. Okay. Any culture, any company which talks about the trust, which talk about the cultural shift, which talk about the understanding, that comes with the two aspect, according to me.
Hmm.
There's something called authority and the adaptability. Very thin
Okay.
line, very thin line. Okay. For
Hmm.
example, we need to be understand, we need to lead with the clarity and learn with the curiosity, because at the end of the day, today's team leader who are in the authoritative in vision but humble in learning, definitely with the world we can see WEF, which is the index of 2025 leadership index, that says that emotional intelligence, adaptability, and the coaching ability are the core.
Hmm.
Okay. So before we say that how the intuition, how the human form, how the AI start turning, it's very important. Do we have as a top competencies ahead the technical masteries? Okay. If somebody doesn't have an emotional intelligence, we are coming with an empathy segment, Prem. If somebody doesn't have an emotional intelligence, somebody doesn't have adaptability, or somebody doesn't have coaching ability, believe me, it's not going to work out. So what I strongly believe, there are number of or various leadership styles are there, but according to me, there's something called servant leadership, which can emerge as the bridge for the model of the AI era event, because it's a coexistence. It's
Yeah.
very important. It's very important. When there is a servant leadership, we actually show authority through directions. Okay. And trust through empowerment. And you don't lose authority by listening, isn't it?
Yeah. Right.
So it is something very, very important that yes, we need to train the team so that it mirrors the communication style, which I already explained earlier. So that's what I said earlier also. You need to translate values, not just a vocabulary. That's what I can add up for this trust build up setup. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, with that, what we want to understand is, now we are giving so much of
Yeah.
importance to the machine side of building some things, right? And when should the humans override the machine? That stage has to be, as you rightly said, authoritative and
Adaptability.
give adaptability. There's a thin
Yeah.
line, right? Now, here also, what a machine can do and where a human should override, or this is a stop where say machine has to stop, or this is where, what is your take on that?
Okay. So when you say that the machine and the human, okay, I believe now this segment is going to be hand in hand. Okay.
Hmm.
It is like we are not away. I strongly believe, giving a one simple layman example, Prem. Probably 20 years before we had a Nokia phone. Okay, now
I can show you
so
those phones
sweet,
right there
so
on the
sweet,
table.
so
Yeah.
sweet. And now we have something with the touch screen, right? So we are
Yeah.
utilizing it. But what I say, it's very important. If this generation and what purpose brings the world views, and what are the customer impact narratives. So if you're working with some different organization, it's very important how do you build up your narratives. Okay, how do you innovate your ownership, and how your legacy building will work. So definitely, as I told you earlier also, the story circle, every age group has a personal success and the failure story. But I must add that it always depend upon when I see that what does matter. Now let me give you one example. Of course you will hear many healthcare example, and it is really need of an hour. Okay, now when you talk about the emergency, do you believe in emergency the any AI system might be more precise, or the human intervention, skilled interventions will be more precise in India?
Now, see, one is the human machine may tell this is what can be predicted, but you
Yeah.
have to take an action which the AI system will not take, right? So,
Definitely, definitely. AI system will not take the action. Believe me, a patient who comes with a stroke, AI might say he got a stroke. Rest we have to do it.
yeah,
Okay. So what I strongly believe, as you said, ethical intelligence. When we know ethical intelligence, when we have a digital fluency, when we have a compassionate communication, when we have system thinking, when we have adaptability and the purpose-driven decision making, then believe me, the future team is timeless, and we can actually find out when we have to use it and when we have to stop it.
no,
Yeah.
madam, I wanted to show you this Nokia phone that,
Yeah, it's so sweet. That is so
and
amazing.
this is still the phone that we used to use. So,
Okay, okay,
these
that's
I was having them because these phones I used when I
mm,
started. So
mm.
today we cannot use them, but the technology that they had, a flip phone and stuff, that
Yeah,
was what they were Nokia known for, right? So
yes, yes,
today they are not there in the market itself because of the advancement of technology and
yes,
stuff,
yes,
right?
absolutely, absolutely,
Now,
absolutely.
what you are saying is that the acts that are very, very prominent in what machine should look at, or where these machines should stop looking at, or where the humans should look at. There are a lot of acts which are there. I think the European Union AI
Yes,
Act is one way of looking at. Then you have the NIST AI framework that is there, which
yes.
predicts, which says these are the guidelines a AI system can look at the moment, and this is what is being adoptable, right? So now you were saying one story where you said a 25-year engineer coder and a 55-year-old manager. How do we look at bringing storytelling to connect this 25-year-old coder and the 55-year-old manager?
Okay, so as I said, a very interesting aspect when you talk about the ages. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
I strongly believe. Look, the story sync more than the system. That
True.
is something very very important. Okay, where you cannot say anything. Now for example, if somebody have to share the data, somebody have to transform a innovation, somebody have to create a shared purpose, if they do not have any vision, if they do not have any creativity, how they will do it? Take an example. Now we always talk about an amazing example. Okay, um I don't want to give about the healthcare example now. I will give some other example. Okay. Now, when we talk about the woman safety, okay. Do you believe the woman safety only comes with the one aspect where somebody is we have given a digital kit. By the way, JV Tech Medovation has launched the digital kit for the woman safety. So we have
Okay.
given the different numbers and the different ideas and different learning and other techniques. But do you believe that if I build up an app, will that app only will help that woman to feel safe? It may not.
It may not. Yeah.
Yeah, it may not. What if I empower the woman? What
Hmm.
if I help her to understand the importance and awareness of the AI literacy? What if I teach her about the Google location? What if I teach her about the awareness about the how to take care of her whenever she's traveling alone, or whenever people are not around her, whenever she's there, the area where she doesn't even know what to do, right? So
Yeah.
that's something is very very important. I strongly says, Prem, wisdom has to be transferred from older generation to the newer generation. Okay, if you don't do it, believe me, it will not help. And how it will start if you do not have an empathy? How it will start if you do not build an emotional synchrony? Okay, so for example, as I told you, the emotional intelligence and the other factor of the cultural shift has to be inculcated with everyone when they are using the transition phase in any segment. That's what I can say at this moment.
No, I think pointers are getting very clearer saying that it's a collaboration. Whether you
Yes.
like it or not, the
Yeah.
age is going to take you into that stage and you
Yes.
are going to go into that mode of adoption rather than you cannot deny it. And everybody has to go through, like the banking system, which we spoke in the starting.
Yeah.
What shared purpose bridges worldviews?
Okay. So, shared purpose, I would correlate with the human system. You must
Mhm.
say that today, Dr. Jyoti is talking about the human. But believe me, there are many segments which actually can detect biases, can analyze sentiment, can predict outcome. But what if any
Mm.
simulation, for example, what if we run the simulation, for example, AI detect that team consistently favor the younger candidate compared to the initiate unbiased hiring redesign? Just an example I
Okay.
gave for a more
Okay.
clarity. Okay, so when you talk about the intergenerational collaboration, we both are come from the millennial background, right? And we have seen a different world and different learning. But I must echo the component for these generationals are something with the cross generational task success rate, the speed of problem resolutions, the mentorship hour which is exchange, the trust score, and of course the innovation output that can be mixed age meetings without biases. Okay. So that can definitely help. And when you talk about the KPIs, right? So KPI track trust, it track the mentorship, it track even the mutual learning.
Yeah.
So when first we spoke about the trust velocity, but how somebody feels psychologically safe, do we have an index to measure it, right? How somebody has a reverse mentorship impact score, does somebody real thinking about it? How the AI adoption and the age diversification can work, somebody's thinking about it.
Mm.
So I strongly believe we need to measure the trust like you measure the time. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, coming to our next point that we want to look at is,
Yeah.
now we've seen leaders doing projects with authority, right? And
Okay.
uh, without alienating the digital part. So, how do leaders project authority without alienating digital first teams?
Okay, that something is really amazing. Okay, now here it is like we're trying to catch hold of the Gen Z. Come on, I know better. but but what I can say here, let us appreciate that someone come from a different background. Let us appreciate that somebody has a different learning capabilities. Let us appreciate if somebody is really having a different workplace. Now, what does the AI empowered and the multi-generation, when we talk about it, that what if the 2030 we are leading the workspace will be when we have a multi-generational outcome driven, not the hour driven, the global, digital, remote, hybrid. Now these are the area we are running. Okay,
Hmm.
now 2025 we are sitting here, we are talking about the AI, but AI going to be there. It is going to be there. You take it as a reinforcement, you take it as your learning, you take it as your appreciation, you take it anything. The AI is going to be there. But can we accept the fact that the upcoming generation has a more maturity understanding on the tools differently? What if the current senior team can bring with the more sustainable approach, the more innovation approach, or more empathy based approach? Believe me, that is something is very very important. We have to keep that ego aside that I know everything. No, that has to be shed off. Okay. Otherwise, we will never learn. I strongly recommend that the cross generational learning or the mentorship or the speed of how do you, problem resolutions, you think through it. How do you define your psychological aspects with the upcoming, interns, I must say, that are upcoming new generation or a Gen Z. Believe me, they are amazing. Can we work with them and make them understand? Or can we
Yeah.
utilize the, you know particularly the wisdom, the strength, the patience, the idea team, which really looking out for many more opportunities. So we have to accept. First we have to accept, and then we can go through it. Thank you.
Now, you made two important points that I was looking at the moment. So, one is the experience, which these
Yes.
generation will not get the kind
Yes.
of projects that we have done or the kind of
Yeah.
work that we have done and the environments that we have
Yes.
worked with. These people, I will take one example is earlier when we started, if you have to switch on the computer, it used to be a big box and you'll have to switch on that. Then you did not have internet. Today, if you say the system does not have internet, they will say, what kind of a system that you have? We didn't have
True.
an internet when we started using computers. We had a individual machine. Now internet was not available. If you had to take internet, I remember when the dial-up was there, you have to dial in to the BSNL network. Then you'll get a dial-up this one, which I think one page loading used to take about 20 minutes, one photo coming down. Today we are
Yes.
downloading movies just like that. So I,
Yes.
that experience or that learning that they did, these generation, for me, I've been an IT guy all through my 27 years of experience. Now, if you really look at, I've seen physical servers. Today, these people don't know where the servers are, but they have the everything, the data and everything is available. They are seeing the banking systems and everything all virtual. They don't have anything. That experience plus the new way of thinking, new way of handling things, which is faster building systems, more accurate and more ideas coming in is what the new generation is about, right? So I think one point that I want to understand from you again is you spoke about servant leadership, right? Want to look at, is servant leadership the bridge model for AI era teams?
Absolutely. I strongly believe, because sooner or later we have to understand there is something called diversity of the thoughts. Okay.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if you see the different decision, if you see the, the different age diversities, we are coming up with the different areas of the expertise, right? Can we literally take this as not having understanding that each generation sees a different blind spot, right? Agree?
Yeah,
Even
agreed.
AI can support the decision making by, surfacing the hidden ideas or highlighting the workload of variables, but the wisdom come from the decade lived, isn't it? Right?
Yeah,
So when we innovation come from the decade imagine, isn't it? So bringing them together is the only, you build a future proof era. So if you do not have a servant leadership, I am pro for servant leadership frame. If you do not have a
mhm,
servant leadership, you will not learn anything. Number
yeah,
one. Again, give an example of the healthcare system itself. In healthcare, there is a more diversified system comes in. Earlier, there were no robotics. Now the robotics
hmm,
are coming up. Okay. Earlier, and now also the load of the healthcare system in India is a huge. Okay.
hmm,
People have changed. The system have changed. But what if I utilize the, technology in the operation theater differently? Can I say
yeah,
that no, I would not work one way? No. When it comes to the cardiovascular thoracic surgery, any CABG or any stent procedure, we need everyone. We need a doctor, we need a technician, we need the anesthesia, we need a perfusionist, we need a nurse, we need an assistant, we need a, yeah, AYA, we need a recovery room, we need ICU, we need an entire hospital, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
We need a setup. And that setup has to work when there is a better area of expertise. Now, How do you look about this particular expertise? When we have a collaborative approach, when we have a mentorship approach, when we have a psychological safety,
Mm.
again and again I'm talking about, when we have a trust, believe me, this does matter. And now, coming back to 2030, I always say that look for the 5 years down the line, what we are looking for. If we do not have the better workforce, for example, the study says the 74% of the workplace will be millennials plus Gen Z or Gen Z.
Mm.
So if you do not learn the coherence, if you do not learn the how do we adjust, how do we understand, how do we learn that approach, believe me, it's going to be a challenge. So I strongly believe AI is going to take over 30 to 40% of the repetitive work. So it's very, very
Yeah.
important, how do we understand, how do you mature your behavior along with the new technology. So I strongly pro for this access of the servant leadership too.
Coming to our final pointer that we want to discuss today
Yeah.
is, what if age diversity becomes the next competitive advantage?
Obviously, we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Obviously, Prem, we do not have a choice. Okay. But as I told you very well, I am in the favor of the Gen Z as well as the millennials. Okay. Believe me, uh, the curiosity doesn't have an age, and they are looking forward to learn. They are looking forward to accept. They are looking forward to
Mm.
understand the newer thing. They might be hesitant in the beginning. They might have a fear. They might have a different journey of learning, different background. But I strongly believe that if given a chance, believe me, the millennial have an amazing reciprocity, amazing response with the idea of AI and the wisdom. So I strongly believe that yes, millennials are very much required, and we are going to be that era where we talk about the empathy, we talk about the understanding and human emotions, and that will definitely help us. So it does matter.
Thank you for that, madam. We got couple of questions that are comments that I'm bringing them
Yeah.
up here to discuss.
Yes.
Now, Anil Kumar says it's true, AI can't replace empathy. For the matter of upcoming technology, cannot replace empathy.
Yes.
So that's one point. Thank you for that, Anil. I definitely say that, being a technologist for last 27 years, I will say AI is an enabler. It is not going to remove mundane jobs, as Dr. Jyoti rightly said. Mundane jobs will be automated, and you don't need people to do the repetitive tasks. That's the idea, right? So next is, ma'am, you have any inputs for this pointer?
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate Anilji stating that the AI can't replace the empathy and it will never ever replace. Believe me. Now, again, I would love to give example. I have trained more than 1 lakh healthcare professionals, and let me be very honest. The healthcare will give you the more opportunity to learn better. So, what we say that there's something called therapeutic touch. Anil, for example,
Mm.
if a patient who's got a cancer on a fourth stage, who's on a chemo, right? Do you think so a robot can take care of his decisions and all that, or helping him? No. But if I am a doctor, or I'm a healthcare professional, if I go to him and I just put my hand on his shoulder and say, don't worry, we are there with you, we'll be taking care of you, believe me, that is empathy, that is core. So that's what I wanted to say, that human touch, that human emotions will never ever replaced. Thank you, Anil Kumar.
Thank you. Coming to next is Vaishali says, so true. And then I have Charles, who's going to be our speaker in the coming episodes from Hong Kong.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us, Charles. And we have Leslie saying, Charles, I thought it would be an interesting friend. So I think both Charles and Leslie are talking on that. And Charles says, Leslie, I'm speaking here a few weeks ahead on the AI and empathy too. So yes, Charles, we'll do a session. Yes, we are on that. Thank you for joining us today. Uh, we Dr. Pratima says, such a useful and amplifying time topic is what she says. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
uh, Mandan says, absolutely, AI supports workflow, but it can replace the empathy, context, and emotional intent needed to lead across generations. The human layer is where the real alignment of trust is built. How do you think leaders can strengthen those? Ma'am, your take on it.
Yes, yes, absolutely, Madan. Thank you so much for this particular question you asked for. So, when you talk about the emotional intelligence and different generations, right? So, emotional intelligence has to be measured with the differently. Okay, for
Mm,
example, what kind of a ecosystem or what kind of a algorithm we build up with. Okay, for example, if there is a understanding of the idea of like a digital adapter, okay, and speed and the intelligence and the adaptability plus wisdom, that only can give us the performance. But can we think through it that my team, for example, a senior person who might be 50 or 60-year old, my team who is a junior, they might be learning certain, that the my team also need the higher depth of the domain mastery. Okay, they also need the strong contextual judgment, right? They also need the tool which can help them to not only to become the faster but also the meaning making decision making, right? So that alignment does matter. So I absolutely agree to it and say that the strong comfort with experimentation, trial and error, and of course high adaptability. But if somebody has a lower patience, it's very important we need to understand this generation very well. Okay, we need to think through it that yes, there is a possibility that we can help them, we can connect with them, we can talk to them, we have a mentorship, we have a different metrics to manage, we have a different modules, we have different ideas to eliminate the surface level skill gap. So that is something which can strengthen the particular leadership too.
thank you, Madan, for that. And next, I have Lakshmi says servant leadership resonates with agile values as well. So, Lakshmi has been our speaker, and thank you for joining us, Lakshmi.
Thank you.
Your points there, madam. Anything that you want to add?
Yes, absolutely. From the beginning of a session, we have talking about the empathy, and empathy cannot come or resonate without the leadership or without the servant leadership. Okay, for
Thank you.
example, if I do not feel an empathy for someone, there is a difference, classic difference between sympathy and empathy. I'm sure everyone
Right.
knows about it, right?
Yeah.
Sympathy, that you feel pity on somebody. Empathy, you feel the pain of that person, right? When somebody new person join us, when someone is trying to learn something, when they have a high energy, okay, can we help them to strengthen their potentials? Can we help them to avoid that fear of judgment? Can we help them to avoid the fear of inferiority or anything, okay, which really hinders their potential? So I strongly believe we need to give an open idea, open understanding, and that opportunity can definitely bring the best of the best outcome as an innovation approach. So definitely servant leadership again.
Thank you, Lakshmi ma'am. Next we have is Dr. K. Santosh here. AI can never replace human elements since AI is artificial intelligence, and while humans are augmented intelligence. I think that's a very valid point,
Absolutely.
ma'am. Over to you, your thoughts on it.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Iyer, and I must vouch for it that, as I told you, I come from a strong healthcare background. I myself was an emergency specialist and the critical care expert, so I know it is not possible that AI will replace anything when it comes to the human element. Of course, I strongly believe that we need to use AI, and of course now agentic AI is also coming up. Okay, so it's very important we need to understand that is there anything which is a repetition of the task or can be done in a better perspective or better way, which can really add the value. For example, there are something with the supply chain or something with the logistic when you're running a hospital, when you're running in any company, or when you're doing any kind of a work or automation. Will that automation will save your time? So if it saves your time, you can utilize that human energy for something better, right?
Hmm.
And definitely it can really help. I strongly believe, Prem, I will take one moment here again. I strongly believe that we also come from that background where we also need someone to understand, someone to take care, someone to appreciate, someone to, make an attempt to be with us and
Yeah.
understand from all the highs and lows, that AI will not able to do it, that the human will do it, and that can only happen through the honest communication. So I believe that the last questions, which is servant leadership, and this particular one, element, will be hand in hand always. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Santosh.
Now I have the last pointer that this is from Dr. Pratima again.
Mm.
Through AI is being embedded in LLM models and AI agents as of today, nothing can beat humanistic approach and inputs as empathetic approaches. All more needs in today's disruptive times. Over to you, ma'am.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will take at least 2 3 minutes on this. Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Pratima. So when you talk about the EI, of course, emotional intelligence and the LLM, um, just take example of the simulation based learning. Okay, now, if I have to teach my students, I have to teach my students on particularly procedures. Okay,
Mm,
I
mm,
might give them the idea about the theoretical approach on the LLMs or the online or a hybrid learning. But when they have to give an injection, say suppose they have to give an intramuscular injection to the patient, and they have to practice as a
yeah.
student period, right? They have to come to the conclusion where they need to learn the technique, they need to learn the which angle, they need to learn the anatomy physiology, they need to learn which needle, which depth, which angle, and if they do anything wrong, the patient might get gangrene. Okay. Okay, or somebody might sue them. Okay,
Yeah.
so they need
Yeah.
to know even the pharmacy, pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics too. So it's very important, we need to have that clear demarcation, that I am the advocate for the AI in healthcare. I always say that nobody can say that, okay, I replace everything as a nursing or the medical or the AI allied. No, it cannot be. You have to do the practice, you have to know it. If you do not know, you can't learn, you cannot learn. So when you talk about the humanistic approach and empathetic approach, that only comes. Now again, I would like to reiterate here for a one more 30 seconds, I must say that during my practices, we have learned an example of IM injection, we have learnt on each other with the multivitamins. Okay, because then only you understand the pain of a patient, right? Because
Yeah.
that's a important element, that you need to know it, you need to know it, that how somebody feels when they get the IM injection. Okay, so moral of this story, what I'm trying to say over here, that there are particular situation, particular simulation based learning are there, LLMs are there, but we need to know that which will work for the best faster, that when there is an intubation or in emergency situation, when we intubate the patients, I cannot do the intubation on only the machine. No, I have to understand first, I have to learn properly, theoretically understand, practice on the dummy, practice on everything, and there will be a time when you really deal with a human. Okay, so it's really important that yes, which segment we talk about, which category of the business we talk about, which industry we come from. So definitely humanistic approach does matter a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pratima ma'am. With this, we are done. I've taken some of the pointers which I wanted to say as key takeaways with this session. Technology connects is what we say. Leadership aligns is what we see. That's one thing that you talked about as servant leadership and stuff, right? And uh, psychological safety is the foundation of AI readiness. Without that, we cannot do anything. Generational diversity is a strategic asset because you have people thinking in different aspects, and both don't align till they have that discussion happening, saying that this is where you can align. Learning velocity beats seniority, right? Because seniority is the way that you have grown in the systems, and the systems have been changing. And the last point that I want to add is trust and purpose are the true automation protocols, is what you can look at. You want to build something, you need to have a purpose and you need to trust. So that's where we take, these are the 4 pointers. Any final pointers? We are on top of the hour. We have overshoot by 4 minutes already. Any final pointers that you are going to have to share with the audience, Dr. Jyoti?
Absolutely. The new rule. Okay, the new rule goes speed,
Hmm?
intelligence, adaptability plus
Okay.
wisdom is equal to performance. So stay tuned and be with your curiosity. Believe me, there is no age limit. Thank you so much.
Thank you. With this, I think with five generations, one future, AI and automation don't replace people, but they redefine the partnership that has to be looked at. In this conversation, if it has helped you see how leadership bridge can bridge the time, share it with someone who is building tomorrow's team today, right? And that's what we should look at. And thank you for joining Power of Knowing Forum's podcast. And we would like you to look at our podcast and see if that adds any value to what we have been doing. And thank you for joining us. And with this, we have streamed this podcast to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Hope you found this discussion valuable, and thank you for joining us on the LinkedIn Live today. And thank you for joining us, Jyoti ma'am, and good day and bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.